Hello everyone. Thank you to Synthic for all the gun stats that I used to produce this video. You can also find the same stats that I found on sim.gg, which is sym.gg. In this first video, I'll actually cover the sidearms, a group of weapons that every class has access in the game. And from what I gather, pistols are one of the least covered category of weapons. I'll be breaking down the sidearms into subcategories of 2 guns apiece: the workhorses, rangers, heavy hitters, fast draws, and spammers. Starting with the workhorses, the P38 and P08, these are pistols one selects when you aren't sure what you want out of your sidearm. Both weapons feature medium RPM, medium damage, and a medium kill capacity per magazine, though they have a favorable explicit capacity of rounds, in both cases 9. Other notable strengths of the guns is that they both feature faster than average deploy times and fast reloads. These lead the guns to being intuitive in their use, which, if you are more focused on learning the ins and outs of your primary, is a good feature to have for introductory sidearms. There are noticeable differences between the 2 firearms, however, that make one more popular. The P38 is ultimately the easiest pistol to use in the game, with its combination of medium rate of fire and very low recoil, landing at 3rd place in that regard. The P38 also is tied for the fastest empty reload of all the sidearms, making it even less punitive for less careful players who might be more prone to mag dumping. It also features the 2nd place fastest draw time, permitting more reactive players some leeway with surprise CQC encounters, or when they run dry on their primary. That said, this generalist pistol remains a potent firearm for more advanced players, primarily for bolt-action snipers who want fast draw but want more ranged performance and damage capacity per magazine in their sidearms than what competing options provide. The P08 introduces some change-ups to this formula, providing a pistol for players who still want an edge on deploy time but are willing to sacrifice some of that to push for even more ranged performance, with a 40% faster bullet velocity, tied for 2nd place in the stat with the Repetierpistole M1912, as well as arguably being one of the most easy guns to manage in terms of ammunition economy, with a lightning-fast set of reload speeds, tactical or empty. The drawbacks come from an 11% worse upwards recoil compared to the P38, resulting in the P08 having an average recoil for sidearms overall, and the before-mentioned reduction in deploy speed by 50 milliseconds, though the P08 still is 50 milliseconds faster than the average sidearm. The P08 requires notably more skill to use properly, but has the potential to provide some of the most consistent range performances of any sidearm with more prolonged use. This makes it a good balancing act for snipers who want a faster than average draw, but favor a pistol that can be a 2nd primary a tad more than the P38 can provide, being a bit more useful for snipers who spend more time with their pistol at the ready, implying a more aggressive but independent playstyle. The next group of 2 firearms I will cover are the ranged options. These are guns that fulfill a sort of alternative primary role for builds that lack ranged performance, most notably SMGs and non-slug shotguns. These 2 guns include the Welrod and the Model 27. The Model 27 is the heavier hitting option of the 2 and works better as a more aggressive weapon, firing at more than double the rate of the Welrod and killing with 1 less round between 25 and 30 meters, and having an overall much faster time to kill at all ranges. This is the weapon to use when you are running an SMG or shotgun and spend more time with your team's main force while moving between capture points. Stealth is less of an issue. You just want a gun that can hold you over until you get to where your primary will serve you best, in CQC. This is even more pronounced in the fact that the gun has the worst draw time of all the sidearms. You should try to avoid relying on it as an emergency firearm for when you run dry on your primary. It also features the fastest bullet velocity of all the sidearms, and by quite a large amount, moving faster than even quite a number of SMGs, or even a smidgen faster than slug shotguns. Be aware of its slowest in class tactical reload speed. It'll punish you if you are too aggressive. But since there is no penalty in reload speed on empty, you are better off in the heat of combat always holding off reloading to the last minute. The other gun in this category The Welrod serves largely the same purpose as the Model 27, and even kills in fewer shots than the Model 27 beyond 50 meters. Not that you should regularly use it at such ranges due to its pistol-level accuracy. Its real strength, however, is that it's silenced, meaning that when you land a hit, your target won't know where the damage is coming from, providing you precious extra time to land more shots for the kill. This makes it a good firearm for players needing a ranged alternative, but often spend time outside of their team's main assault force, flanking and sneaking around the map. It also has an average swap time, making it a tad more useful compared to the Model 27 if you run dry for landing that last hit on a weakened target, drawing a whopping 133 milliseconds faster. Similar to the Model 27, it has a fairly slow reload, but because of its nature as a slow-firing, high-damage gun, you probably won't find this aspect too painful, as you'll be able to do tactical reloads more often than not, which does significantly reduce the time spent reloading. The third pair of pistols are what I call the heavy hitters. These are the 1911 Suppressed and the Mark VI Revolver. These are guns that have a strong damage per shot up close, but they generally reward deliberate shot placement with faster kill times. Starting with the Mark VI Revolver, this gun has the fastest time to kill within 12 meters of any sidearm. The analysis of the gun can almost essentially stop there, as that is obviously a very appealing strength for a firearm, but it does come with a lot of notable drawbacks. Being that it's restricted to close quarters, the fact that the rate of fire is the third slowest of all relevant sidearms, and as a revolver, has the second worst recoil. It can be difficult to fire accurately in rapid succession. It also makes for a poor emergency weapon, with its second worst draw time. In general, this is a gun best used with primaries with otherwise good ammo reliability, but are restricted to longer range, like bolt actions. Basically, use it as a pocket CQC alternative primary. The other heavy hitter is the M1911 Suppressed. Among silenced guns, the M1911 doesn't actually have the fastest time to kill or best ranged capability. In fact, it's fairly weak on both of those fronts. Despite its more damage than average per shot than other pistols, the main strength that it brings is best-in-class ammo reliability, even among non-silenced options, resulting in a silenced weapon that is very effective at aggressively taking down even multiple targets in close ranges, as long as you can consistently perform close-range flanks or get the jump on your targets, requiring some patience from its user rather than raw aggression. This makes it good for long-term flanks in cover-dense locations for when you are outnumbered, like for instance if you're trying to solo capture a point and find out it has a lot of enemy threats nearby that you can't realistically take head-on. Also, feel free to dump your magazine into targets, as the penalty for empty reloads is a measly additional 230 milliseconds. The fourth category is the two fast draw pistols, the Ruby and the Type 94. These two pistols share a very significant stat for their respective class of weapons. In the game's code, this stat is referred to as deploy time. It is the speed in which you draw your weapon. These two guns beat every other option in this regard, making them fairly popular choices, beating the average by 150 milliseconds, enough time to make the difference in an emergency. They also both match the fastest RPM available for pistols, making them effective spammers for people with the trigger finger for it. On their own, that can make them reasonably potent in terms of time to kill, making them attractive even outside the benefits of the fast draw times. Starting with the Ruby, this pistol features the largest magazine size of 10 rounds. This technically also provides it the second best kill capacity among semi-autos and the best kill capacity for maximum RPM pistols. This makes the weapon attractive for covering primaries with poor ammo reliability and a long-range focus. A good example of this would be the AG M42, as the pistol can act as a close-quarters alternative primary in a pinch, while also making up for the primary's ammo reliability to some degree. The weapon is also fairly accurate, with the second lowest recoil among handguns. One thing to be wary of, however, is that there is a significant penalty to emptying the magazine in terms of reload speed, as far as pistols go, and its reload is unimpressive regardless. The weapon is capable of getting 2 body shot kills with a single mag with some wiggle room, but you might be better off reloading after each kill, as its ranged performance is helped by having a full magazine, as you'll need an extra hit or two depending. The other fast drop pistol is the Type 94, and it makes a significant deviation in its performance compared to the Ruby. At mid-range, up to 22 meters, the weapon can kill nearly just as rapidly as the Ruby can, up to 12 meters. However, in exchange, the weapon shares the worst recoil of the semi-auto pistols with the M1912, a 33.3% increase, and has the smallest kill capacity of any pistol, with only 7 rounds and the incapability of getting more than 1 kill per magazine with body shots. It's a somewhat risky pistol used on its own. It does make up for its tiny magazine size with excellent reload speeds. In fact, if you manage to kill with a round in the chamber, you should simply opt to reload immediately, as it has the best tactical reload speed in the game. This actually makes it a very good sidearm for assault rifles, SMGs, and LMGs that tend to have a decent overall ammo reliability anyway, because of the large magazine, but have a slower reload speed. As the Type 94 can act as your stopgap option on rare times when you run dry and find yourself reloading, especially with its improved mid-range damage, which can suit in a pinch for the typical ranges that those primaries are typically effective at. The last statistically relevant category of sidearms is the spammers. This pair of guns includes the Repetierpistole M1912 and the PPK Suppressed. These pistols share the same top-tier rate of fire that the Ruby and Type 94 have, acting as spammy pistols. However, they sacrifice the fast draw for improved stats elsewhere, and generally should be treated less as emergency weapons and more like 2 dedicated rapid-fire weapons. Starting with the M1912, this gun actually has some of the broadly best performance in terms of time to kill across all typical pistol ranges, though it's slightly beaten by the Mark VI revolver within 12 meters. Its faster rate of fire and lower recoil per shot ultimately make it a more intuitive weapon to land shots with, even though that recoil is tied as the worst recoil of all semi-autos. It also features the same improved bullet velocity that the P08 has over other pistols, making landing shots a bit easier over range. The biggest drawback for this gun is its worst-in-class reload speeds. Interestingly, the answer to the question when you should reload is inversed from other guns. The M1912 reloads significantly slower if you reload it while there are still rounds in the magazine. You should always want to mag dump this gun, even if there is clearly no longer any immediate threat. The final pistol we'll be covering is the PPK Suppressed. Being suppressed, this of course means that you're not actually going to reveal the direction in which your damage is coming from when you land shots on your target. This is of course very important for the tactics of the PPK Suppressed, as the rest of the stats of the gun are not particularly impressive. It has a small magazine of only 8 rounds, and its damage model is the same as the Ruby, without the added benefit of being a fast draw weapon. That said, it has the fastest time to kill of the 3 suppressed sidearms that